Plants are expert meditators. They live their lives in silence and stillness. Even if they could speak, what would they say? Over 500 million years on Earth, plants have evolved to become oh so diverse. They've survived all 4 extinction events that they've been around for and colonized every continent except Antarctica. Today, plants anchor almost every land-based ecosystem and food chain. All this without a complex nervous or sensory system like animals and human beings. But even if we can't see or hear them, plants do communicate. Just like animals and people, plants produce all sorts of biochemical responses to their environment. What's amazing is that they can share these signals with each other, especially when they're under attack. This communication happens through 2 main channels, through the air and through the soil. Without a nervous system, moving information internally is not that effective in plants. It depends a lot on available water. Instead, plants might rely on airborne chemicals to get messages from one part of the plant to nearby parts of the same plant. When the leaves of plants get damaged, whether due to insects or cutting using tools and machines, they release lots of volatile chemicals. This is what we can smell when we walk near freshly cut grass. Plants are most sensitive to airborne signals sent out by its own leaves. But plants growing nearby can also eavesdrop on these signals, like if you overheard your neighbor coughing and stocked up on cough medicine preemptively. Experiments on sagebrush show an interesting manifestation when parts of the plants were deliberately damaged by insects or manual cutting. Over the season, the rest of the branches on the same plant were eaten less by insects. Neighboring bushes also showed a greater resilience to insects that wandered through. Even moving the air from above a clipped plant to another one made the second plant more insect resistant. These airborne cues insect seedling survival in young plants. They also promoted the growth of new branches and flowers in adult plants. Different plants communicate using different chemical languages. In the case of sagebrush, individual plants in a field produce slightly different chemical messages. The more similar 2 plants' chemical fingerprints are, the more fluently they can communicate. Since these chemical messaging systems in plants are inherited, sagebrush plants can communicate more effectively with relatives than with strangers. Because of genetic similarities with many other species, plants other than sagebrush can also benefit from these signals. Tomato and tobacco plants, for instance, can listen in and receive sagebrush signals. There's another channel of communication that plants use to send warnings. Most plants have a symbiotic relationship with fungi that colonize their roots. This symbiosis brings many benefits, like better absorption of water and nutrients. These fungal filaments make expansive networks in the soil that connect separate plants that grow in the same area. What this massive mesh creates is an underground superhighway for biochemical signals. In tomato plants, the roots form an intimate relationship with fungi called arbuscular mycorrhiza. When a tomato plant responds to a fungal disease called blight, it activates blight-fighting genes and enzymes. There are signaling molecules made by the plant's immune system, which can travel to a healthy plant through the mycorrhiza and trigger an anti-blight response preemptively in the healthy plants. In other experiments on mycorrhiza-linked tomato plants, some of them were deliberately infested with leaf-chewing caterpillars. The healthy neighbors of these infested plants activated 4 defense-related genes within just 6 hours. Put simply, they knew trouble was coming and they were preparing for it. The plants that had time to prepare not only fared better, the caterpillars munching on these plants grew much less large. Bean plants are also keyed into each other's health through these fungal conduits. An aphid infestation in one plant triggers its neighbors to ramp up aphid-repelling compounds, but also produce compounds that attract aphid-eating wasps. It's also interesting that forest trees that have traditionally been thought of as competing for resources also show signs of collaboration for mutual survival. From experiments that began in the 1980s, researchers have found that trees share resources like sugars and nutrients through their underground network. More recent research has found that some species like birch and fir trees exchange nutrients through the mycorrhizal network to ensure that both species survive mutually. There's also evidence that trees of the same species have some form of kin recognition. They can identify which trees in their network are related to them and direct more resources towards those trees. From studying tree connections and communication in forests, researchers have found that hub trees or mother trees have the most individual connections to their neighbors. These hub trees have a vital role to play in exchange of resources through the mycorrhizal network, even ensuring that seedlings have access to excess stores of carbon and nitrogen. Amazingly, hub trees can be connected to as many as 100 other trees and saplings. Connected forests are more resilient. They store more carbon, better recover from climate change related disturbances, and generally stay healthy, productive, and diverse. There's also some really interesting research happening in plants using electrical signaling and airborne sound waves. There's not much cold hard proof in these areas, but studies have shown that there's reason to believe plants can use electrical signaling to communicate and even respond to sound waves. All these experiments go to show that plants are far from solitary individuals. They collaborate with relatives, cooperate with other species, and form complex relationships. We need plants for so many reasons, and our dependence on them isn't going away anytime soon. Answers to how and why they communicate can help us find smarter strategies for agriculture, forestry, and conservation. Now that scientists are uncovering the mycorrhizal network in greater detail, they're looking for ways to utilize it, both in forestry and agriculture. The majority of staple food crops form relationships with mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi are known to provide crops with nitrogen and phosphorus, which means that farmers need to utilize less fertilizer for the same yield. Companies are now exploring biofertilizers and biostimulants that could someday replace harmful fertilizers and make nature-driven agriculture more productive and sustainable. And forests, ensuring that fewer hub trees are cut down, will help forests regenerate more quickly. A sound understanding of the forest network will help us devise strategies that meet our needs without causing irreparable damage to the forest ecosystem. So the next time you meet a plant in the great outdoors, it really wouldn't be silly to wonder, is it talking to someone? What is it saying? There's a lot more about nature and biodiversity coming your way on Biotic. See you in the next one.